Okay, hi everyone. Welcome back to the Never Been Better podcast
with the Bean.
So today we decided to just have an open conversation about friendships. I think a huge thing from going from high school to college is about your friendships, because you go from people you've known sometimes like for all the years of school and whatever. And then you guys all go your separate ways, and then you go to college and you have to completely restart. And it's really scary, but there's ways to do it, obviously.
Okay, for starters, when you come to college, it's like really weird because you have to like relearn how to make friends again, especially, and like I also feel like you've like had these friends for so long that you've had, and then like you kind of like don't see them.
Yeah. As I say, like coming from a small town, like you grow up with people and like everybody knows everybody. Everyone's parents knew me. And then to like have to remake friends, I was like, I haven't done this since I was like 3 years old. So that was hard.
Think that like you kind of have to like learn how to like pick the right friends when you get to college. Because like sometimes like you just like, I don't know, like there's certain individuals in college that you don't want to be friends with. Not not in a mean way, but like they just like, you want to be with people that like bring out the best in yourself, and like you want to be with like friends with people that like don't make you do things that you don't want to, and like don't force you to do things. Yeah. So
Along with that, when you first go to college, you will meet so many people and you're going to have the exact same conversation with them. And it's going to go from high school where everybody knows you and knows about your family and knows all these things about you. And then you go to college and nobody even knows your name. And you introduce yourself and you say, like, what you're majoring in, where you're from, all the boring icebreaker stuff. And so it's hard from there to be like, okay, out of all these people I've met, like, who do I feel like I would be good friends with? So I feel like that's definitely an obstacle? Is that the right word?
And everyone's being like in the nicest way possible fake because everyone's trying to make friends. And so you're always smiling and be like, oh my gosh, that's so funny, even if it's not.
yeah, like a lot of people like invent themselves before they go to college so they can like again find the right people for themselves. And it's not like a bad like reinventing, you know, like I was a very quiet person in high school and I tried to be more outgoing. Granted, I'm still very quiet around people I don't know, but for my friends I feel like that is like a second wind. Like when you meet me I'm more quiet, and then when you really get to like know me I'm
Why don't we move into like how do you, going into this like really uncomfortable situation, how do you then make friends?
yeah.
Like how do you pick the right ones?
Yeah, I definitely think that for us, the main thing was like joining a club that, or like an organization on campus, or having like some shared thing that you all find. So like some people, if you're like an athlete, I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of friends from your who's on your team with you. For us, it was going to crew, so that's where like we met because you already have something in common then because you're all at the same thing for like a similar reason probably, and that's something you already have in common, something you can already talk about, and it kind of just like weeds out people that you have nothing in common with.
That's so funny. Like in college they have weed out classes, but there's weed out friendships. Yeah.
Like the orientation friends,
No, literally. I don't
gotta weed them out.
Single person.
I do, but it's not like I'm hanging out with them all the time. Like we're friendly, but we're not like, oh, want to hang out kind of people.
Also, people you make friends with the first week of school, this is going to sound so mean and so horrible. You can like end the friendship when you want to. Like,
Aaron, I met you the first week of school.
I was about to say, not always.
Sometimes it works out.
like in my orientation group that kind of like wanted to continue a friendship, but like I personally did not see myself being friends with them because I said we just don't like. I know you're looking for a friend, but like, as am I. But like, I just didn't see myself being friends with them, and that sounds like I'm mean, but like, why would I force myself to be friends with a person that I know I don't think we share the same like
99% of the people in my orientation group I've never spoken to again. One of them happens to be friends with one of my friends. Like, I'm also friends with her, but, like, we don't really see each other ever. It's more so just, like, we have a connection through someone else mutually.
I think another thing, and this is, like, you will have a roommate in college or roommates, and that doesn't mean that you need to be best friends with them. In my case, I got really lucky, and my roommate from freshman year is still one of my, like, closest friends, and obviously they are too. But just because you live with someone does not mean you need to, like, be with them 24/7 and do everything with them. So, and I feel like there's, like, this sounds, like, so weird, but there's, like, different friends. Like, in college, like, you have, like, your close friends, you have, like, your friends in class that you, like, get together and study with, but
Or
you
get
don't
the
do
homework
a lot
from.
of things, like, socially with them. And then, well, I feel like that's kind of it.
Well, and then you have friends that are like people like that you will like maybe like occasionally like I don't know like hang out with, like you don't see them all the time but you still consider them your friend.
There's also people that you definitely consider friends, and they definitely consider you friends, but you just won't see them as much as other friends. Like, for example, we room together, so we clearly see each other more than, like, some other people, and we probably know each other a little bit better than some of our other friends. But it's not like, I like you better than them, that kind of thing. It just, like, happens to fall that way, because in college it's such a unique situation where you're by certain people all the time.
Also, getting back to another point, class friends super important.
Make them.
It doesn't matter like what your major is, like what the class is, it is so helpful because that like little question that has been bugging you that maybe your professor wasn't clear enough in the email they sent back to you, or like you don't have time to ask your professor, you do not know how helpful they are until like it's the day before something's due and you like have this one question that will like decide your grade.
I would also say that's why it's important to do clubs, because you meet a lot of different people, and oftentimes there's people in those clubs who are in your classes, so then you have like a mutual bond. Like, that's how I met all my business school friends.
Yeah. For me, like, I'm also just friends with them now because we have the club in common, and then we also have our major in common, so they work as class friends but also just friends, and then you also have club friends with them. But it's nice also if you want to take like classes with them, like we definitely all sync our schedules up together because we have to take the same classes anyway.
And like, class friends can become more than class friends.
That's so true. There was like one class freshman year that was just one that I had to take, and I sat next to this girl and we like introduced each other, like ourselves to each other, and now she's like one of my best friends on campus, which is really cool because then we had another class together second semester. So it's interesting that like some can just stay like those class friends where you text each other questions about the homework or whatever, but some can grow to be like really close friendships.
Yeah, and then there's some people that I only ever talk to for that class, and we would just help each other out with homework. But now when we see each other, we say hi, kind of a thing. But that's also fine because I don't like some people. I feel like people typically know that we're class friends.
Yeah, and it's just nice to have familiar faces on campus. Like even just if you're walking by someone from your class, you're just like, oh, like hey, like how are you doing, kind of thing. So
Well, because like for example, I've never once hung out with anyone from work outside. Well, I guess Carissa works, but that's different. That's different. We were friends beforehand. But anyone from work, I've never once hung out, like my campus job, I've never once hung out with any of them outside of it. But if there's ever a lull when I'm at work, we'll just talk. And so that's nice.
Yeah, you kind of are making, you have to remember when you're coming to school, you're making like a community all over from scratch. And so having those different friend groups helps to kind of have a full circle community.
Yeah. It's especially different than like normal living because, well, I guess it depends on like how small your town is or like how often you see people. But like in regular life, you're not going to see a lot of people like absolutely everywhere you go. Like here, anywhere you go, you could see someone that you know. So it's like a different...
Also, don't burn bridges because you don't know when you're going to see these people. So if you do have like a friend or a person that you don't necessarily like see your friendship or relationship growing,
Don't
like,
ghost them.
don't be a bad person. Like respectfully, like being respectful is super important because you don't know who they know.
It also depends on like the extent of your relationship. Like the people that you talk to during orientation, it's pretty easy to just like kind of not pursue that further. But like if you've been hanging out with someone for an entire semester, like a lot, and then you just drop them, that's a little rude. Well, it depends on the situation, obviously, but
And like we do go to a smaller university, but I'm telling you, like even my friends who go to larger universities, they will run into the one person that they don't want to run into, and that's just how it works. So when Aaron said don't burn bridges, like I echo that like 100 times. Don't do it. It's a horrible decision.
And it's like, you know, like it's gonna happen. Like you may never ever see these people on campus ever, and then once you do that, you'll see them all the time. They're everywhere, whether you want to see them or not. So just like, yeah, be a good person, but also like do what's best for yourself.
So those are the friendships that don't work out. But the friendships that do work out, like it's super important and a super college lesson, I guess, to find intentional people. So like people who want to spend time with you and who like pour into you just as much as you pour into them. Like we don't want toxic friends on here.
Yeah, along that, like the whole, like, you don't want a one-sided friendship, especially in college, because it's a time where you're away from your family, you're away from everything that you have known, and you're in this, like, new environment. You want people who are going to help support you, and you want people who are going to be there for you on, like, your best days and your really, really bad days, and people you just enjoy spending time with. Like, if you, I don't know, like, people you like studying with, people you like watching TV with, like, you need all the things you need to be able to do with these people because you're going to be with them for 4 years. So
Ella and I ironically just had this conversation earlier, how we're both like introverted, and we were saying how there's like friendships now where it doesn't feel like we're hanging out with someone. Like when we're all hanging out together, it's not like a social event that like drains us because it's just like we live together. So it's like different because we don't have to like, I don't know, we're very relaxed around each other.
Mm-hmm. Because like it sounds cheesy, but at college, these people, these intentional friends are your family. Like they're kind of all you have at the end of the day, to talk to about the good, the bad, the ugly.
true.
Yeah.
Like the people that will see you at your worst and not think differently, you know? Like you've seen me when I wake up in the morning and I look dead inside and I like haven't brushed my hair. But anyway, so like people that see you maybe at moments in your life where you're like, you know, not like the perfect image of yourself that you want to be, but they don't use that as like, I don't like this person. Like they see that and they still like you for who you are and like want to hang out with you.
Yeah, you don't always have to be put together around these friends. Like,
and
you're
like
grumpy.
when you're grumpy or about to like throw hands, and you will argue. It will. It will happen, and it will happen a lot. Like we're all different people. Like you can't expect to have like friendships with people that are identical to yourself.
The thing I will point out is just because you're friends doesn't mean that you're going to be good roommates. So like if you have people that you know going into college and they're like people you knew prior, like you could room together and it might be amazing, but it also maybe you guys don't room together because like that's up to you based on like your personalities and how you interact. But there's some people that I feel like think that they just, oh, we're friends so we'll be great roommates, but you actually have to think about like compatibility.
So like on top of that, I feel like with that said, like that's like your like group of people, and maybe like if you did go away to college, like that's your group of people at school. But also you've like spent like, I don't know, like almost probably like 10 or more years of your life with people from home that you like literally that know all these things about you. You've been through every like super awkward stage of your life together, and sometimes maybe not others, like sometimes people want to maintain those relationships like after they go away to school and you don't see each other for such long periods of times, and like there's important stuff for that too, that you want to be able to like keep in touch with those people, but also not be like, hey, I want to talk to you every single day or every weekend I'm at school. Like you have to find a balance between.
I would say for me, I have a lot of friends from high school still, and then I have friends like I work at a summer camp over the summer, and those are all my closest friends too. But we're all over the place. So my bestest friend goes to school in Indiana, and so when she comes home, granted I and like Marquette is very close to my house, so it's easier for me to go home and see those people. But just even on like the day to day, if you just have time to like call a friend who isn't with you 24/7 and just kind of catch up, it's nice to be able to do that. And also, when you go home for breaks, a lot of times college breaks are usually all at the same time, so just making sure you have time to, I don't know, go grab coffee and catch up on life. You don't need to be texting 24/7 and be like, this just happened, and it's fine if you do. Sometimes I do that with my home friends, but finding time to talk to them and making sure you're intentional and you kind of put aside time to talk to them so that it is intentional. Also making an effort for them to maybe come see you or like meet your friends and not like mix the friend groups, because I know sometimes you want to keep like your home friends.
I think everyone tells you make new friends, like don't stay friends with friends from high school, which there's some truth to like reaching out and making new friends, but you don't also want to like completely ditch those friends, because like this year I have one class with a friend from high school and it's so much fun because it's so nostalgic of high school, but it's also like this girl has seen me since like 7th grade. So at the end of the day, I might not talk to her every single day or text her constantly like Nina was saying, but I know like if I'm going through something, I can go and tell her that. And like she knows me.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was gonna say. You might have some of your high school friends that are with you in college, and that you also need to like make sure to keep up on, because you guys might not have like the same like group of people that you hang out with. So like it's the same thing even if you are in college with them, and it's not like you're like miles and miles apart.
And I feel like also, like, sometimes I feel like you will both, like, want to keep in touch, but you're like, oh, since they're not reaching out, I'm not going to reach out. But it has to be, like, a mutual thing. It's all about, like, making an effort to do things. And also just, like, checking up on people, too. Like, I don't think sometimes people understand how big of, like, a thing it is when somebody's like, oh, how are you doing? Because, like, you know, like, some people might be having a harder time. So, like, checking in on your friends is definitely, like, a super important thing to do.
But like don't get us wrong, some friendships from high school like will fade. And that's okay.
And that's fine.
And that's totally fine. And that'll happen naturally, but we're saying like don't intentionally cut people out just because they're from high school.
Don't have that fear with friendships that are going to be like long distance friendships. Like, don't be like, they're never, like, it's not going to work out. Like, I promise you, if you want it to work out, it will work out. Like, my roommate from last year literally goes to school in Florida, and we still, like, keep up with each other all the time. Also, kind of along the lines of that, so we're all sophomores here, but one of my closest friends from home is a freshman here, and I knew she was coming to Marquette, and everybody would always be like, you guys are going to be together 24/7 because you were with each other all summer and all this stuff. And the one thing I like told everyone was like, no, I want her to go have her separate life and her friends and go through that like freshman year experience, but I still want to be here to like support her. So even having friends in different grades through college, you don't need to be attached at the hip. So just always being like a supportive friend for those people and like reaching out to them is so important.
The thing is that maybe you'll still keep in touch with your high school friends, but your relationship with each other might also change. So like it doesn't necessarily mean like you have to keep the relationship exactly how it was. Like it might change, and maybe you guys don't talk as often as you did, or maybe you talk about different kinds of things now, but you can definitely still be friends but have like a different sort of friendship.
On a complete but also like important note, so I guess we never like said this, but I'm actually not living in the Bean this semester. So I'm at home, which again isn't far at all, but thinking I was really worried about like how friendships were going to work with people on campus, because again these have been my people for about a year and a half now, and I was really scared because I was gonna be like, I'm not going to be with them 24/7 and all this stuff. But I'm telling you, like, even with that, we still find ways to like talk all the time. I don't think there's a day that goes by where I don't hear from one of these people. But even my friends who aren't my roommates, like I talk to them all the time. I come down here because again, yeah, whatever, but I come down here and we hang out if you guys like to add to this, so it's not just me talking.
Well, we also like it doesn't necessarily mean we like FaceTime Nina all the time. Like we don't always know what's going on with her. Like we'll like sometimes go, or at least me, I'll go like a week or 2, even 3 weeks without seeing her. But like we had a group chat prior, so like we kept her in that obviously. So
We kicked her out of the group chat, actually. She's not allowed.
she'll like get updates based on that, and we'll like talk on
We'll
that
also
kind
like
of thing.
FaceTime her very randomly about very odd subjects.
We're like, so we have like a plan in the future to
Future kids.
for our children, and they're all gonna get married.
Hi kids.
So like stupid stuff like that. I also would like to acknowledge the fact that when Nina texted us at the beginning of the semester that she wasn't coming back, I cried for an hour. So like it was like hard to accept the fact because you get so used to it, like that, like you don't want to change it, but like despite the fact that it's changed, like we only like you can only let it be bad if you allow it to happen.
Well, full circle moment. I think we have a very intentional friendship with each other, and so that has allowed us to stay close because we're intentional when we talk to each other.
Also, side note, Nina will be back soon.
Don't you worry.
In all, be intentional with your friendships, and
The rest will work itself out.
the rest will work itself out. Truly, like that's my advice. Oh, hearts. Okay, well, you enjoyed this podcast.
Yeah.
Shout out to our loyal followers.
Like,
Hi, Mom.
like, subscribe,
Maybe there'll be a TikTok
and
later.
stuff like that. We're good. All right, we are. Bean is signing off.
No one told you life was gonna be this way. Your job's a joke you broke.